Hey folks, it's John with KeepFishKeeping.com. Super excited to be here today to do something that I haven't done since last year, which is a product review slash demo for a product that I love that we just picked up to carry on our website. Really excited about this one because it takes your standard kind of drab sponge filter like this, which we also carry on our website, and it levels it up a bit. So I can't wait to tell you all about these, so let's just get into it. All right, so we all know how great sponge filters are. I love sponge filters, and everybody loves sponge filters, and they should, because they are a very efficient way to filter an aquarium. But there is one complaint that people have about sponge filters, and I get it, because usually when you're gonna filter a tank with a sponge filter, it's gonna be a smaller tank. And the complaint that people have is that it's just ugly. It's an unsightly thing in the middle of your aquarium or in the back of your aquarium, and you got to try to aquascape around it or whatever. It's just this big ugly sponge sitting in the middle of the tank. I understand that. It doesn't really bother me, but then again, I'm a minimalist. I don't mind them, but a lot of people do. And so I have picked up a new line of sponge filters that eliminates that problem. You still have the sponge in the tank, but you don't have to put it on the substrate down at the bottom where you might think that it is unsightly. It's a new line of sponge filters, new to us anyway, from Hygger, that I'm super excited about, because as I said in the opening, it takes sponge filters and levels them up in a couple of different ways, because one, you get to get it off of the substrate, and two, there are some added features that you never thought you would see in a sponge filter, and that's really, really cool. But the first one that we're gonna talk about is this little fella right here. I've got this overhead cam here that is gonna be a little bit difficult to figure out the right place to hold it. But this little guy right here has one of those level ups that we talked about, which is the suction cup that allows you to put this on the back of your aquarium, which is amazing. But the other thing that I was talking about with some of the others, this one doesn't have, and it's because it's just so small. But this is something, I've been looking for something like this for a long time, because Lisa and I have a lot of beta tanks. These are always smaller tanks, 5 gallons, sometimes even smaller than that. You want a really good way to filter that, and this is the answer. It's sleek, it's small, you can hide it up in the back corner, and that is what everybody wants, particularly in a really small tank, because, I mean, how much space is that going to take up in a 5-gallon tank? Now, this is a bigger one. You wouldn't put one this big in your 5-gallon aquarium, but still, even if it's one of the smaller ones and you have it down on the substrate, that's taking up valuable space, and there's not very much of that space in a 5-gallon. So this is good because it gets it up off the substrate on the back of the aquarium or on the side, wherever you want to put it, which is very, very cool. Now, very simple. There are no moving parts on this thing. About the only part that there is this clip that can be taken off. I don't even know why they make this thing removable. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but you can remove it if you want to, and then you have the suction cup, obviously. What you get when you order this, it's absolutely adorable. Comes in this little teeny tiny box. It's just the cutest little thing. You get everything you see here, which you kind of expect that, right? But you also get an extra sponge, which is very, very cool. It's the same one, which is awesome, because you can have one that you're cleaning or whatever, stick the other one in there, have a rotation going. It's great. I mean, that's perfect. Now, there's going to be people that'll say, but wait a minute, John, sponge filters are great for beneficial bacteria, and so if you remove that, you're going to be removing all of that bacteria. Yes, that's true, but there's a lot of good reasons to have a backup like this. First of all, if this thing deteriorates because your shrimp are eating off of it, or your betas are picking at it, whatever, and this thing gets ruined, you don't have to go and buy a whole nother unit. You've got this as a backup, so it works great for that. But also, Like I said, if you want to have a rotation where you've got a clean one in here, or you've got your one that you're using on it, this one is sitting aside and you want to swap them out every once in a while, you can do that. You do run the risk of losing that bacteria, but you know what? It's such a small tank. You're going to have so much going on in there. I wouldn't be overly concerned about that, but I understand why a lot of people would be. It's going to be the kind of thing that you're just going to want to do that when you need to. This one is just completely clogged up or whatever. You want to remove that, replace it with a fresh one, then you'll be good to go. And you could leave the other one in there laying on the substrate for a little while to let this one catch up with the bacteria, I guess, if you wanted to do that. But anyway, it's great to have a backup because you never know what reason you're going to need it. Now, when we go up in size, that small little nano filter there is going to be for a 5 or a 10 gallon is where you're going to want to use this little fella, the little guy, 5 or 10 gallons. But if you have something a little bit bigger, maybe a 15 gallon, that's when you're going to want to move up to this. Now, first of all, same thing. Where did I put it? You get the extra sponge. Let me just go ahead and say this. Every single sponge filter we're going to talk about in this video, they all come with extra sponge. And the ones that have 2 sponges, they come with 2 extra sponge. Very, very cool. Are you supposed to say they come with extra sponge or they come with extra sponges? I don't know. But anyway, let's move on. It comes with the extra sponge, which is awesome. This one, because it's a little bit larger, has 2 suction cups on it. Which, you know, that's great. It's taller, whatever. One of them, it would just be dangling around a little bit. So very good, removable suction cups, obviously. This isn't breaking any ground or anything like that. It's a very simple design, but I like it because it does things that the other sponge filters don't. The first is you can move this sponge whichever way you want it to go. I don't know why you would want to do that, but maybe you want to have this on the top of your aquarium like that. You could do that. I'm not a fan of that because I want to keep this down as low as I can to get that stuff that's moving around all over the place on the bottom of your aquarium. But if you wanted to do that, I suppose you could. So there's lots of different reasons why you would want to do that. Or you could have this thing standing vertically and kind of lay this down, maybe behind something in your aquascape. It helps you to be able to hide it if you want to do that. So that's very cool. I think most people are going to use it in this configuration right here. It looks nice. You can hide it in the back corner up off of the substrate, not taking up all of that valuable space, which is very nice. Your airline is going to hook up right here at the top. There's a little, I don't know what to call it other than calling it a nipple. There's a little nipple on the top that you'll hook up your airline to. This is where things get very interesting. It's this little guy right here. Every single time I see this on any of these filters, I immediately think of the movie Down Periscope. I don't know, I just do. I always associate things with movies. But this is cool because you have adjustability with this too. If you're using a 15 gallon, maybe a taller 15 gallon, you want to get this sponge down as far as you can, but you want to have the outlet up as much as you can, it's a telescoping top output on there. Very, very cool. And you can move this little guy around. It adjusts very easily. I still haven't been able to figure out how to get this thing in camera properly, but that's really cool. So you can configure this thing however you want it, so many different ways, which is very cool. You wouldn't think that something this simple would have that much adjustability. Again, taking something like this and taking it to an entirely new level, which I definitely like. Get it up off of that substrate. It's not like it's bad sitting in the substrate, of course not, but it's taking up that room where you might want to have a nice little cave or a little piece of driftwood or something there. You can't put it there because you got that big black sponge sitting there. This pulls it up off of there and you're good to go. You've got the flexibility, being able to move this thing around and adjust it the way you want it. Maybe you're keeping a beta in this tank. I just said beta, but I was saying beta earlier. This is the way my mind works. I haven't reprogrammed it yet to say beta all the time. It's just whatever comes out, that's what comes out. But you probably know we sell betas and we sell betas too. So we're gonna be talking to a lot of people that have beta tanks. You might want to direct the water in a way, direct the flow in a way so that it's not pushing your beta around. You can direct this like towards the side wall so it creates like a little circular motion or whatever. you have that flexibility. Whereas with your normal sponge filter, which again, I'm not poo-pooing these. I'm not. We sell these. These are great. We've sold a ton of them. They're kind of the industry standard and they're fantastic. But you have no flexibility when it comes to that. You can't direct the bubbles or the flow anywhere. It just is what it is, which is not a terrible thing. But if you want that flexibility, you've got that with this. Very cool. If there was any strike that I would put on this, it's the fact that the hose is clear. It's not clear, it's like a smoky colored, almost like the aqua clear colors, which is not a bad thing, but I just don't know why it needs to be clear. Maybe it's because sponge filters always have clear outlet tubes. I don't know. You could have gotten away with just using black there, and I think it would have been better. There's really no reason for it to be clear. Why am I pointing that out as something that I don't like? I don't know. I feel like I can't be saying everything's great about these things. I got to find something. I kind of feel like maybe it would look a little bit better if that was black, but who cares? You're going to try your best to hide something like this anyway, so you put that in that back corner, and then you ain't got to worry about all of that. I don't know. I had to find something. So to recap, these two little guys here, these are going to be for your smaller desktop, up to maybe 15-gallon tanks. This guy, you're going to want to use maybe at a maximum of like an 8 to 10-gallon tank. If you've got that 10-gallon to 15-gallon, you want to ramp things up a little bit, you're going to want to use this. But if you have a bigger tank than that, this is where things get real interesting. So we just talked about the ones for the smaller tanks. Now let's move up to if you have larger tanks, up to 40 gallons, then you're going to want to move to something like this. This is a big change from this. You can see it's a very, very similar design, but yet, let me see if I can get them on camera here, but they are very different. Obviously, this one has the 2 sponges, where this one only has 1. You still have the telescoping output, which is very, very cool. And this one goes pretty high. I mean, I haven't put a tape measure to it, but that is pretty long. Insert whatever jokes you want to there, because we know I like to do that. But again, you've got the clear tube. Not a big deal. I mean, that's not a deal breaker by any stretch, but there's a couple of things about this that are very cool. Again, up to 40 gallons this will handle, where this takes it up another level, not only in size compared to this guy, but also in functionality of it. You have the 2 sponges. Yes, they are adjustable, just like that one is. Everything is the same, but there's 2 things. First, I didn't talk about this with the other one, but when it comes to maintaining these, it could not be simpler. These sponges just lift right off. And you have this internal tube in here. I don't know how dentists do it with everything backwards like that, but you have this internal tube that has holes in it. I don't know if those holes are coming through. I don't know if it's focusing, but it's got holes in it, and that's how the water is pulled through. But it just slides down on there nicely. It's snug enough where it's not going to just float off, and it makes it very, very simple for maintaining these. You just pull it off. In fact, not last week, because I don't know when I uploaded it, but a video that I did a while back about maintaining every different type of filter, you saw me do that, where just reach in and slide it right out. Do it gently, because you don't want all that gnarliness floating around that is currently stuck in your sponge. But that is very cool. And when we talk about extra sponges, this one does. Again, I'm repeating myself. This one comes with extra sponges, and I want to say something about it. It's kind of a unique way that they pack these. They take these sponges, the extra ones, and they scrunch them all down as tight as they can, and they put them into these little compartments. We're going to talk about these little compartments in a second, but they squeeze them and they put them in there, and when you first open it up, it's going to look like this, and you're like, what is this blob of sponge? It does take a little bit of time, but it does eventually expand fully out to look like a normal sponge, like it's supposed to. I just wanted to warn you about that. But John, what do you mean? You said something about a compartment. I'm glad you asked. These have a biomedia compartment in there, which I think is very cool. The first time I saw it, I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. But after looking at it and seeing the way it's executed, I think it makes total sense, because as if sponge filters don't have enough area for beneficial bacteria, this takes it up another level because you have more biomedia and you don't have to worry about that issue of if you remove one and replace it with a clean one, you've still got all this bacteria in there, in the biomedia and in the other sponge, so you really can't lose there. The biomedia, you get way more than you need. This is leftover from after filling those up. They're adorable, and I want you to put in the comments section the first thing you think about when I pull these out. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you some time to pause the video and go put it in the comments section. But for me, the first time I saw these, I immediately thought of Cocoa Puffs. I associate everything with food and with movies, but you get more of this biomedia than you actually need. I suppose if you wanted to really cram it into these compartments, you could, but I just filled them up and there you go. So the way this works, this little cap here, it's not the easiest thing to pull off. You can actually pull the whole thing off and you pop the whole sponge off. So you've got your tube here that inserts into the sponge. It's like a little cap and it just pulls right off to expose all of this. And you just fill this up as much as you want to. I can put a few more in there, no big deal. Obviously you don't want to overflow it, but there you go. Pop this cap back on and stick this back on here, and there you go. You're ready to roll. Now, when I was filming that video that I was just talking about, I'll put a link up here. Is it this corner? Because I think it's that corner. I'll put a link up there to that video of maintaining every different type of filter. The first time I did the little demo of how I clean these out, I popped this whole thing off, and it kind of made a mess because you have to squeeze the sponge and all of that. That was a dumb move. You never have to touch this ever. You just reach down in there, slide that out. That's all you're going to want to do for it. So this is very cool. Again, all the flexibility of the other one, except you have two sponges. Again, I've been talking about it. If you want to have that backup sponge, you've actually got two backup sponges. If you want to have that scenario where you're just always rotating a clean one in, this one, you don't have to worry about that because you can pull this one off, leave this one in place, put your clean one in there, and then wash this one out real good, let it dry out, let it get thoroughly cleaned. You could even use something like bleach or something like that if you wanted to. I'm not recommending that you do. I'm just saying if you're that kind of person, you could do that. Make sure you get all of that out. That's going to be the hardest part, to get all of the bleach out of something like this. But I suppose if you had some kind of horrible outbreak of something like that and you really wanted to disinfect to that level, you could do that, but you just have to make sure you get all of that bleach out of there, because if you get over that breakout of whatever you had, then you put the sponge in there full of bleach, it's not going to end too pretty. But if it were me, I would just pull one out, rinse this one out real good, squeeze it out 1,000,000 times in the sink under tap water, set it aside, let it completely dry, put a fresh one in there, you're good to go. You still have this sponge that has plenty of beneficial bacteria in it, and you've got the biomedia down below. So it kind of takes that threat of losing your cycle and it throws it right out the window. Again, directional output here, very simple, you can't lose. This top-down camera thing, not a big fan of it because I can't figure out how to do it. But you can direct the water, you can do all kinds of things. You could come up with a wacky design for this thing if you wanted to. Why would you do that? I don't know. But I am using one of these in that tank right there, which is my Congo Tetra tank, and I just have it sitting in the back like this. You know what? I just lied to you. I just looked you in the eye and I told a bold-faced lie. I didn't mean to though, I forgot. I just misspoke. This is not what I'm using. What I'm using is the next one that we're gonna talk about in that Congo Tetra tank. But I just have it sitting in the back. It's not a big deal. It doesn't look terrible, especially when it's up against that back wall. Now, this one is available in two different sizes. And again, I don't know why the manufacturer did this, but it's basically S and M, which I have determined means small and medium. Is there a large? Nope. There's not a large available, but this one is, they say it is rated for up to 40 gallons, and then the medium is rated for 55 gallons. I guess what Hygger is saying is, listen, if you got over a 55 gallon, maybe you ought to think about something a little stronger than a sponge filter. Maybe you should go to something a little beefier, like a tidal filter by Seachem, maybe something like that. But anyway, yes, up to 40 gallons, the medium is gonna go up to 55. All right, so now it's time to stop messing around. Now it's time to talk about the big dog. This is the one I was saying I'm using in that Congo Tetra tank right there. I'm pointing to it, but on camera I'm not. Anyway, that's weird how that works. But in my Congo Tetra tank right there, this is what I am using. This is taking everything that we've talked about already and yet again ramping it up to another level, because this one, you see a cord hanging from it. This one incorporates a power pump in it. So this one, you do not have to hook an airline to it. Some people don't like them. I have gone through my phases where I despise air pumps, and it's not because I don't like the bubbles. I love bubbles in the water. It's the noise. A lot of times air pumps, give them some time, they'll start vibrating, they'll start rattling, they'll start making all kinds of noises, and that drives me absolutely crazy. And don't get me started about putting an air pump down into the cabinet of an aquarium and then it touches the sidewall. Oh, you want to talk about driving me crazy. That makes me want to break things when I hear that. I don't like vibration sounds like that. It just makes me nuts, especially since this is not only my fish room, but also my office. You don't have to worry about that. You do not have to hook an air pump up to this one. It is its own power sponge filter, which is very, very cool. Now it has, here's another nipple. It has a nipple on here that you can hook your airline to if you want to, right on the top of the unit. And the bubbles will be kind of sprayed out and it'll look cute if you're into that kind of thing. You can do that, but you don't need to. You can just plug this guy in and it has a small pump on here. It does not say, it does. Ah, how about that? I just learned something. 80 gallons per hour is what is pumping through this one, and this is the medium size, right? Yes, this is the medium size. Same numbers as before. About a 55 gallon is what this is going to be rated for. The small, which is what I have in that Congo Tetra tank, is rated for up to 40 gallons. I probably should have done a little research and found out how many gallons per hour the 40 gallon one is. The small one, I will put it right here. I'll look it up while I'm editing this and I'll put it on there. It might be the same pump. I don't know. It's just smaller sponges, but you've got the exact same scenario as you had on the other one. It's the same unit, except it has the pump on there. So the sponges pull off the same way. You get the 2 extra sponges. In fact, this one, you can't see it, but this one, the sponges are still in there. And I don't want to pull them out. And the reason why, this is a brand new unit. When this is done, I'm going to put it back in the box, and one of you is going to end up getting it when you order this. Who knows which one it's going to be. I don't want to, pull this out because I'll never be able to get it back in. But the extra sponges are in there. It does come with a bag. Well, it's a bag like this one, full of the Cocoa Puffs that you can put in here. And you got your biomedia. You've got your extra sponges, so you never have to worry about losing that cycle. 2 sponges on the unit. This one has the power, it's not a power head, but the small pump on it, directional flow. It's taking everything and combining it all into one unit. This is the special one, folks. I haven't talked about these at all in any videos or anything like that, and we've already sold a ton of them because it's just a cool concept. You don't have to worry about buying a separate piece of equipment, the air pump, and having all of the airlines. That's not a huge hassle. Most fish keepers are going to have 3 or 4 air pumps laying around anyway, so it's not like that's a big deal, but this is one less thing that could break down. And you got the extra sponges, which means this is going to last you for years. Even if you have fish that like to pick at them, you're going to have replacements. No big deal. You got to love that. I mean, these are going to last you a good long while. They are very, very efficient. I tested these things for months before I picked them up. So believe me when I tell you, they do a very good job. It's just the easiest thing in the world. It's the easiest decision to make. I am not trying to be a salesman. These things will sell themselves. I don't need to worry about that, but it's the easiest decision of all time. If you're looking for a sponge filters are great. You want to buy one like this, you want to buy some from other companies and stuff like that, it's going to be great for you. There's no problem. But if you want to get it up off of the substrate, you want to get maybe a little added extra stuff going on with a pump on it or the dual sponges, you want to be able to direct the flow, you want to be able to do all of that, have all of those options, and even have the biomedia in the larger versions of these. It sounded like I said virgins there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. This is why we usually edit videos, folks. But the larger versions, not virgins, but versions of these, you're going to have the biomedia in there. In my opinion, it's the perfect sponge filter. When you move up to this, you're moving to the perfect sponge filter. This is a sponge filter. This is a power sponge filter, which is also great. Like I said, I'm using one and I love it. They are great, but you can't really call this a sponge filter. I don't know. I don't know if there's a rule that sponge filters have to hook up to air. I don't know. Who am I talking to? I don't know what's happening here, but my mind is going crazy. But I love these things, which is exactly why we picked them up to carry on our website. I don't carry anything on our website that we don't like. We are using everything that we have on our website. I use tidal filters, I use sharks, microns, I use these, everything that we sell. The heaters that we sell on our website, I've got a 300 watt right there and another one down in the sump, and I've got two 250 watts in my 240 right there. We use what we sell, and that's why we sell it. If it's a product that we like and that we believe in, it's a good, efficient, well-made product, that's what we're going to carry on our website. And we like everything to be easy. You really don't get much easier than this. Is it as easy as your old-fashioned sponge filter? Yeah, it is. You just stick it on the back. It's not like you've got really anything extra. You don't need to take a class on how to use these. Just as easy as your traditional sponge filter. I didn't mean to say old-fashioned because everybody's been using these ever since we've had aquariums. So I didn't mean to insult you by calling you old-fashioned. I'm sorry about that. But this is the new way sponge filters are being done, and I love it. First time I saw it, fell in love with it, and that's why we have them on our website. Took us a very long time to get them, but I'm so glad that we have them now. So if you're interested in taking things up another level with sponge filters, you're definitely going to want to check these out. KeepFishKeeping.com. Put a link in the description down below. We're not the only people in the world that sell these, but you know, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, you appreciate how in depth I've gone with these, and you want to support the channel, order them down there. We'll ship them right out to you, get them to you very quick. But anyway, thank you so much. I absolutely love so much doing these kind of videos where I can just riff and I can just talk, and who knows what ends up happening. They're a lot of fun to do. I hope you don't take them as just infomercials. I mean, I'm showing you a product that we sell on our website. I would love for you to buy it from us. If you buy it from somebody else, that's fine too. If you think it's stupid, that's fine too. This is not really about doing an infomercial. It's about talking about a product that I'm excited about, whether you order it from me or not. So thank you so much for letting me do that, sticking with me, and I got to talk about some lights now. I'm going to start this all over again, and I'm going to do a video talking about some new lights that we picked up on the website. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You'll get a notification if you click the bell when I put that video out. It's going to come out in a week or two. So be looking forward to that. Once again, thank you so much for watching. This was a lot of fun to do. Bye.